Hey everyone! So today, I wanted to bring you a devotional that comes out of Ephesians 6:10-12, and it goes like this. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. You know, today we sometimes forget that some of the troubles that we face, some of the arguments that we have with others in this world are the works of the enemy, the works of Satan. It says in verse 12, for we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. We're not wrestling with flesh and blood, but against the devil. I remember when I was in the process of discovering my calling, and I realized that I was supposed to go into pastoral ministry. And I told my parents, and I was asking them for advice, and they didn't really know what to say. And so they themselves started asking for advice as to how to give me advice as to what to do. So they're asking friends, and then they started asking family members. And I remember overhearing a conversation that my mom had with her younger sister who lives in Taiwan. And my mom simply asked, so my son feels the calling to go into pastoral ministry, to be a pastor. Do you think it's a good idea? Is it okay? You know, can you give me some advice to help him in this process? And my aunt, my Xiao Ayi, pretty much said, no, he shouldn't. He definitely should not go into pastoral ministry. And my mom was like, I don't understand why. Give me a reason why. And my aunt simply said, because if he is to go into pastoral ministry, the devil is going to attack. There's going to be spiritual warfare. And I actually took that on as a challenge. When I heard that, I was like, oh wow. So that means I must be doing God's will if I'm being attacked and all of those things. And I felt really confident in myself in that time. But man, let me tell you, since then, both my wife and I have gone through a series of spiritual attacks. Sometimes it can be very superficial, really quick. Sometimes it can be really emotional and deep, and we struggle with that. And sometimes we confuse that maybe we're just going through something. It's just a phase, but really, it is spiritual attack. You know, I was told by another pastor that when you are in the process of doing what God has called you to do, Satan does everything he can to stop you. Because this is his only purpose, right? His purpose is to stop you from drawing closer to God and doing what God has called you to do. This reality is scary. You are dealing with things that you cannot see. You cannot even comprehend, but they are there. It says so in the Word. It says so in Ephesians right here. Paul said it. We're not dealing with flesh and blood. Again, we're dealing with the devil. We're dealing with things we don't understand. This battle is a spiritual battle. There is a spiritual battle going on. But it says in verse 10 of Ephesians 6, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. To go even further, John 16:33 says this, I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you have many troubles. You will have many troubles. But take heart. I have overcome the world. Jesus has overcome the world. How did he do this? Well, he came onto this earth. He died on the cross. And on the third day he rose again. And he overcame by conquering sin and conquering the penalty of sin, which is death. We don't have to fear the schemes of Satan anymore. We don't have to listen to his lies anymore because Jesus overcame them all. It says in the bridge of the song Not Today by Hillsong, your love stood down death, crushed the devil's head. Fear is just a liar running out of breath. I love that line. Fear is just a liar running out of breath. The fight is beneath your feet. The fight is already won. And I'm standing on Jesus' name. So let the devil know, not today. You have the power to let the devil know, not today. We can tell him not today. In 1 John 4:4 it says this, "Little children, you are from God and have overcome them. For he who is in you," as in God who is in you, God who is living, God who is breathing, God who is working in you, is greater than he who is in the world. He is greater than Satan. The power you have on your side and in your heart is greater than the power the devil has opposing you. You are an overcomer. Why? Because Christ has already overcome. So my prayer for all of you is that you would be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might against the devil's schemes. 1, 2, 3, 4.